Welcome back to the deep dive. We've got something really interesting to look at today, a New Year's message you shared.
That's right.
And what's fascinating is, well, it's not exactly new. It was originally given, what, back near the start of 2005?
Yes, December 31st, 2004, technically. But then it was revisited, kind of updated, just this past April 2025.
Right. And it's from someone referred to as Bapdada, the creator of the New Age, speaking to his children. So definitely not your standard New Year's greeting.
Not at all. It's really framed as this vision for a new age, but one that's experienced constantly at the confluence age.
Okay, confluence age. Let's maybe define that a little, like this transition period we're in now.
Exactly. That's the understanding, this sort of in-between time, moving from one state to another.
Got it. And the context is quite striking, too. Bapdada is said to come from a faraway land for this meeting.
Yeah, into the corporeal world, our physical world.
Yeah.
It really sets it up as a special kind of event, you
Yeah.
know, not just routine.
It definitely gives it weight. And the message itself, it starts with these huge congratulations, millions fold, it says.
Right, for the new year, but also specifically for this coming new age. And it's addressed to people everywhere. Diamond Hall, Madhuban, Gyansarovar, galleries, people listening abroad.
So a really wide net. It paints this picture of a global community tuning in.
Absolutely. A very broad connection being made.
And the description of this new age, it's almost like you can touch it. In front of the eyes, the message says.
It uses this imagery of changing clothes, doesn't it?
Yeah, from our current ordinary dress to a beautiful sparkling dress of the new age.
Which really makes you think, what do those dresses symbolize? Is it literal? Or our inner state, maybe?
Good question. It feels symbolic, like a deep internal shift. And it's called a golden world that lasts for many births, an imperishable gift.
Imperishable is a strong word. It suggests something really profound and lasting is being offered or achieved.
Definitely. And then it connects to the idea of saying goodbye to the old year.
Right, the usual New Year's theme, but it pushes deeper immediately.
It asks, what else have you said goodbye to? And critically, is that farewell permanent or just temporary?
Yeah, especially because time is moving at a very fast speed, according to the message. So it's urging some real reflection, not just on the calendar changing.
Okay, so let's dig into one of the first big ideas here. Right from the start, it talks about needing an attitude of unlimited disinterest.
A central theme. And it's presented as, well, hugely significant.
Yeah, the key for the gate to the land of liberation. That's quite a statement.
It really is. It positions this attitude as fundamental. And it links the lack of it to, our everyday struggles.
How so?
It points out how little things, trivial, limited things, make our state fluctuate. Getting upset or thrown off balance easily.
Okay, so if we're easily bothered, it suggests we're still attached, lacking that unlimited disinterest.
That seems to be the implication. Attachment to small things, limited things, keeps us from that steady, liberated state.
And this unlimited disinterest? It's not about just not caring, right? It sounds like something else.
No, I don't think it's apathy. It seems more about a deeper detachment. Maybe from outcomes, from the ego's investment in things turning out a certain way, keeping your inner peace regardless.
That makes more sense. And it's not just about, like, physical stuff either. The message is specific.
Very specific. It says this attitude should permeate your own attitude, your vision, how you see the world, your relationships, connections, even your service.
Wow. So it's everywhere. How you think, relate, act.
Exactly. It's about letting go of those limited viewpoints and attachments across the board.
So if I find myself constantly thinking, oh, why did they say that? Or getting stuck on a small mistake someone made.
That could be a sign, yeah. According to this message, that indicates maybe that unlimited disinterest isn't fully there yet. You're still caught by the limited.
It challenges you to look at where you're putting your energy, doesn't it? Are you stuck in the weeds or keeping that broader, stable perspective?
Precisely. It's
Yeah.
like reducing how much external things dictate your internal state. Psychologically, that's quite powerful.
Okay. Then, building on that, the message brings up two sort of essential ways of being to cultivate.
Right.
Two forms. First, being merciful and benevolent towards all. And second, being a master bestower for every soul.
And then it paints this picture of the world. It's quite stark, actually.
Yeah, souls being completely powerless, sorrowful, peaceless, and crying out, looking for basic things, really happiness, peace, joy, courage.
It definitely creates a sense of urgency and responsibility, I think.
Responsibility on the listeners.
Yes, because they're described as worthy of worship souls, children of the bestower, that divine source. and even the Father's right hands.
So there's this idea that they can actually do something about this suffering. They're supposed to give liberation.
Exactly. And liberation isn't just one thing. The message lists many ways.
Like, through your thoughts.
It's elevated thoughts, yeah. Mental power, your words, how you relate to people, holding good wishes, pure feelings, even the vibrations you put out, the atmosphere you create.
It's very holistic, not just big actions, but the quality of your inner being radiating outwards.
Mm-hmm. But then it throws in a challenging question, doesn't it?
It does. It asks, basically, with all the efforts made, mega programs, conferences, opening centers in India and other countries.
Which it calls Virat and abroad.
Right. With all that, what percentage of the world has actually been reached with this path to liberation?
It's a tough question. And it pushes further.
Hmm.
Are your efforts just helping your local area, or are they really impacting the world?
It's definitely a call to think bigger, isn't it? To broaden the scope of one's service or positive influence.
Absolutely. A challenge to scale up the intention, perhaps.
Which leads us neatly into intensifying personal effort. The message connects this to 4 specific checks.
Yes, 4 key areas to look at within oneself.
The first one is instrument, or nimit, feeling like you're simply a channel or a tool.
Exactly. In your service, in your own inner state or stage, in relationships, just being an instrument.
And it warns about subtle ego here too, right? The royal forms of I and mine.
Yeah, like saying this always happens, or this is just how I do things. It suggests, even in a spiritual context, that subtle ego can creep in.
That feeling of personal ownership instead of just being a channel.
Precisely. It requires constant vigilance, that self-assessment. Am I really acting as an instrument, or is me getting in the way?
Okay, check 2 builds on this. Humility or Nirman.
Mm-hmm. Combining being an instrument with humility?
And this combination leads to renewal, also Nirman.
Yes, the same word, but implying creation or renewal.
Ah.
So humility is the foundation for real progress and meaningful egoless service.
Makes sense. Then the third check is being beyond sound, or nirvana.
This one's crucial. It's about being able to actually reach and stabilize in that inner silent space, the land beyond sound.
Why is that so important?
Because, as the message says, everyone wants liberation. And how can you guide someone to inner peace and silence if you can't access it yourself?
Right. You can't give what you don't have, essentially. If your own mind is noisy.
It's hard to lead someone else to quiet.
Yeah.
You need to experience that liberation to share it authentically.
Okay. And the fourth check introduces this contrast, wa versus why.
Yeah. This is quite a memorable concept.
So having a good amount of the first 3 qualities, instrument, humility, beyond sound, earns a wa children, wa.
Right, like an exclamation of approval, appreciation.
But lacking them leads to why. That questioning, doubting, maybe negative state, or even high distress.
Exactly. And it links that why or high to old sands, those ingrained habits and patterns of thought.
That's very relatable. The why me or why this versus a state of wow, okay, or acceptance.
It really frames it as a choice, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The message asks which you'd prefer, emphasizing how much better wah feels and how it radiates positivity.
So moving on to the practical side. The New Year advice, again, thinking back to its 2005 origin, but relevant now, is to really bid farewell to asking why.
Yes. Stop asking those questions born of doubt or frustration. Replace the question marks, even the exclamation marks, like, how can this be?
With a full stop. Just end it there.
Mm-hmm. A decisive mental stop. And this is directly linked to a practice.
The practice of merging with the Father, the point.
That's the one. Constantly visualizing that divine source, that point, as being present in your awareness, like the pupils in your eyes. A very intimate, constant connection.
And from that connection, the idea is to shift from just walking spiritually to flying.
Right. Not literal flying, obviously. It's about moving beyond slow, maybe effortful progress to real spiritual liftoff elevation.
Yeah. And helping others fly too.
Exactly. Accelerating the journey, making it lighter, faster.
The power of good wishes and pure feelings comes up again here too.
Yes. Strongly emphasized. They're described as tools that can actually transform other people.
And protect yourself from negativity.
That too. Like a shield. The example used is how Bapdada accepts everyone initially, suggesting that unwavering positive regard is transformative.
It's a powerful idea that our inner state can genuinely change our environment and others.
Definitely. And it leads to a call for demonstratable action.
Raise the hands of their minds, it says. So actively doing something towards this goal of liberation for others.
Yeah, getting engaged mentally and spiritually. And the fuel for this action. mercy.
Mercy for a weary world, and even for nature, which is also seen as suffering.
It ties it all together: personal state, action, and compassion.
And then it circles back, doesn't it, to that key idea?
Yes, the absolute necessity of developing that attitude of unlimited disinterest. That's the key that opens the gates to the land of liberation.
For yourself and for others, it's collective.
It is. And it adds that even key figures like Father Brahma and the Advance Party are waiting for this attitude to fully emerge in everyone. It highlights this interconnectedness.
Wow, that adds another layer of significance. Then, focusing on the New Year resolution idea.
It emphasizes the chance for newness, a fresh start, and reminds listeners of a promise apparently made to Father Brahma.
A promise to return with him, descend with him, rule with him, even do devotion with him.
That's what's mentioned. So the call to action becomes very personal and significant. Make that key of unlimited disinterest ready, now.
It frames it as fulfilling a deep spiritual commitment.
It does. And the final instructions sort of summarize the how-to.
Practicing being a point, remembering the Father.
Yeah.
That's the way to put the full stop on things.
Right, that's the practical technique. Then congratulations are offered again.
To the masters of the New Age, the ones who celebrate with enthusiasm, who are flying spiritually, making that intense effort.
They're called victorious jewels. And there's a specific blessing given.
For a constant, stable inner stage, achieved how?
Through concentration and stability. By getting rid of wasteful thoughts and just staying focused on one high positive thought.
And solitude helps with this.
Yes, the importance of solitude for building concentration is specifically mentioned. That quiet time is vital.
There's also that slogan, quite punchy.
Once you have made a mistake, repeatedly to think about it means to continue to put a stain on top of a stain. Therefore, put a full stop to the past.
Wow. Just stop replaying it. Put a full stop. It echoes the earlier point perfectly.
It really does. No dwelling.
And the very end reinforces the connection. Stay victorious through the combined form, self and the divine together.
Remembering my Baba, wearing the tilak of companionship. Basically constantly feeling that connection.
Because the companion is always there, and you need to stay with him to return with him. That's the final reminder.
A very powerful closing image of constant divine presence and partnership.
So wrapping up our deep dive into this, revised 2025 New Year's message from Babdada. The core really seems to be this call, this invitation to cultivate unlimited disinterest.
Definitely. And remembering it's not indifference, but that inner detachment from the temporary, from outcomes, as the pathway to liberation.
Both personal and for everyone as we navigate this confluence age.
Towards whatever this new age represents.
And it really puts the onus on the listener, doesn't it? As a potential master of the new age.
Absolutely. It's a challenge to embody that mercy, that benevolence, to be a master bestower in a world that's portrayed as needing it deeply.
Which leaves us and our listeners with something to really chew on, I think.
Yeah, a provocative thought to take away.
Yeah.
Maybe reflect on those subtle ways attachment still operates in your life. Those little things that still hook you.
Or those why questions that still pop up, challenging circumstances or interactions.
Exactly. And then consider, how could consciously applying these principles, being an instrument, being humble, seeking that inner quiet, really choosing wa over why, how could that actually unlock things?
Unlock that gate to the land of liberation in your own experience and maybe ripple outwards.
Precisely. So the final question for reflection might be, what specific little things, what attachments or recurring why thoughts could you consciously decide to bid farewell to right now to really foster that unlimited disinterest?
A powerful place to leave it. Food for thought indeed.